Welcome to the Shifting Focus podcast. My name is John Bunn, and I'm so excited about this new episode. I had Amanda Writesman on today from the Bridal Theory. She is killing it over on Instagram, over 100,000 followers there, helping photographers, videographers, creatives in their business. I've been following her for a while. I reached out and said, hey, come to the podcast, be on Shifting Focus. She gladly accepted, and we just had a conversation a lot about being prepared for next year, marketing strategies, kind of diving into, is Instagram relevant? Is that what you need to do? A real fun conversation just about getting ourselves prepared for the next season and thinking about our brands in a different light. And I really do think that this is one of those episodes that she even said, shake you by the shoulders and get you kind of waking up so that you can have the successful 2026 that you want to have. And so I'm real pumped to get you into that episode. Before we head over, I do want to mention john-bunn.com/outsourcing. If you're in a place in your wedding video business where you need outsourcing help, you're in backlog, check out the show notes or just head over to john-bunn.com/outsourcing. I've got a list of curated vendors there that are outsourcing pros that I've worked with and I've used, and I trust them. We've got people that are brands that start as low as $300 for edits, and all the way up to people that even I use, luxury edits, that kind of thing. They can take a lot off your plate and be a creative partner with you and not just someone you flick a wedding film to and it's perfect. But I have been using outsourcing partners now since 2019 for my films, and I don't know how I would do it without it. And so if you're feeling that backlog monster, if you're feeling stressed, head over to john-bunn.com/outsourcing. And without further ado, let's hop into the episode with Amanda from the Bridal Theory. Thank you, Amanda Writesman with the Bridal Theory, for being on the Shifting Focus podcast. Why don't you say hello, introduce yourself to the audience. What do you do? Just give us a little bit about you.
Hello. So I'm Amanda Writesman, and I'm really glad to be here. What do I do? That is a question that still my husband to this day is asking. So most people seem to ask me that question and don't fully understand what I do. And I'm very okay with that at this point because I've done a little bit of everything. So I started out in the wedding industry about, I don't even want to do the math now, but it's like 17, 18 years. And I attempted to be a wedding planner for approximately 2 events and absolutely hated it. Hated it so much respect for wedding planners, people who have that type A ability to solve problems with chairs and people and all those things that I just weren't creative enough for me. And so then I actually ended up running a wedding photography business. So I am a photographer for about 8 years, very successfully. Then I transitioned into the Bridal Theory, which was actually a publication at start. So that was back at the heyday of Instagram, everything coming out. Jumped on Instagram as an early adopter because I saw its potential marketing-wise, which was really cool. And the whole goal with the Bridal Theory publication was to support vendors, which then naturally led into me finding better ways to support vendors than publication. That's a whole conversation. And I went into marketing strategy, business coaching, education, all of these other areas. So there's not much I haven't done inside the wedding industry, around the wedding industry, in the creative industry. And now I'm here, and our main focus is marketing strategy and business coaching.
I love that. And it's always good to hear someone that tried like wedding planning, don't like it, did photo, liked it. And then I would assume you with your business coaching and different things like that, you have more of a knack for the business side of things. Has that always been the case? Like, what was your background when it came to business and marketing?
So I like to say that I'm an analytic creative, which is basically I use both sides of my brain. And I do feel a little bit kind of like an odd duck. There's a few of us out there. I have a feeling you might be one of them, but that really sees like the business side of things, the pattern recognition, the trends, the numbers, the systems, the workflows, like sees that side of things. And to the average creative brain, those are the boring parts of business.
Right.
To my brain, I love it. Like, I love it. I think it is part of the overall picture that allows us to be more creative, to create more art, to make our clients more happy, to be able to find beauty in the world. It's all the structure and all those boring things that make that possible. And I love both parts of it. So I am more business minded. I am also creative minded, which makes life fun.
Yeah, I am the same, and I knew I would get along with you because, like, I mean, I grew up definitely being both and being, like, really into being creative, but also, like, loved playing Monopoly and loved figuring out how to build cities on SimCity, and I love, like, these the left side, the analytical, I could look at numbers, I could look at strategies. So tell me what kinda got going on in your photo business using some of these strategies, like, you started leaning into things because to me, I would just do things and people would be like, "Well, that was brilliant. Where'd you learn that?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, that just made sense to me." So, kind of what was your story on like how you built success in the photo world? Like what kinds of things were you doing to kind of really stand out?
So at the time, obviously being open to new things, which I know it seems like a million years ago, but part of that was Instagram. At that time, everybody was wanting to be on Facebook. Facebook was enough. What is this weird app where people post pictures of their food? And meanwhile, I'm like sitting here going, so much potential here, and I'm just seeing everything roll out with possibility. So being open to new concepts instead of doing what everyone else has already done has literally been my path forward in business, photography, and everything else constantly. And that is just being willing to try what other people aren't doing because so many people just look and see this person's doing that and that works, so I need to do that. Yeah, that works for a while, but what they're doing has already been done. And I've always pushed to do the next thing and see if it works. And it doesn't always work, but that's okay. That's absolutely okay. So with my photography business, for example, I was very much into SEO before SEO was cool, right? Like I was very into destination photography, both in my own city. I found a way to hack destination photography and have those destination people come to me, which was amazing. And that was through things like Google and SEO. And at that time, people weren't thinking that way. They really weren't thinking that way. So it was always about looking for the strategy in between and the things that people weren't doing yet.
Yeah, and I can see that, like, a lot of people, especially the creatives that, like, lean, if we're on the left is really creative, on the right is really business, like, the far left leaning, they're just thinking, "I gotta make really pretty art. I gotta, like, do really great work, and I'm gonna get the best gear or whatever, or I'm gonna do this thing the best and then everything will work out." And the truth in the wedding industry is like, if nobody is hearing your art, if no one's seeing your art, it doesn't matter. So there's this tension between the two. And so like naturally as a marketer by, just in your brain, obviously I'm sure you saw some success and started seeing things. When did it transition into like, maybe I should start showing people what I'm doing? How far into business? When did that get going to kind of then shift your focus over to the bridal theory?
So I was always bold and just went for the things that people didn't always think were possible. Like that's just been the way I'm wired. But I started the publication side of things initially, and that was one of those things. People are like, "Oh, wow, like that's such a big move." And I'm like, "It's just an obvious move to me." So I started this publication side of things with the idea that, you know, wedding vendors, business owners need more eyes on their business, period. That is the core of marketing, right? You can have a great product and service, but if nobody knows it exists, it's not going to be a lucrative business. It's not going to be profitable. You're not going to last. So the idea was, how do we get more eyes on these wonderful businesses? And that was the origin of the Bridal Theory as far as the publication side. I do have a very aware eye, such as curation and things like that. And as we know, like back in the earlier days of Instagram, everything was curation and aesthetic and perfection and all these elements, which I'm honestly glad is diminished. But back then it was everything. And I had a knack for that because of my years as a photographer. I had the eye for those elements. And so I took that plus this marketing knowledge of just getting people to look at other professionals, other vendors. And it started out with lifting up those other businesses. As things grew and changed, we could get into a whole conversation on how do you make a publication profitable. But at the end of the day, I knew it wasn't the best way to help those vendors, right? The goal was still get people to see these businesses. That was always the goal. But me doing it through a publication model was not true to who I am. And I didn't like the revenue model that went with that. And so I was like, okay, if I don't show everyone these people, how do I teach them to be seen?
Mhm.
So that's how it navigated into that, where I'd learned all these things over the years of SEO and Google and ads. I mean, I could still talk about ads. I still love ads. And most of the wedding industry does not understand ads. But all these pieces that I'd learned and said, okay, instead of just saying, let's get you published and show you off, let's teach you how to get your business seen. And that is where I stepped into the education side of things.
Yeah, I love that. And that was how long ago whenever you really got into that?
Cool. 2014, I believe.
Okay. And so like you've transitioned fully away from, or do you still photograph events or anything, or do you
Okay,
from
so the
time to time?
secret is I have a weird hobby, and that is staying relevant. I don't believe in teaching people and not being in the industry. Like, I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's going on. And so I actually had a season where I would call up my friends from everything from videographers to photographers to cake to caterer to venue. Like, I kid you not, everything. And I'd be like, hey, hire me for a day because I just want to have my feet on the ground and do what you do so I can appreciate it and understand it better. So I've done a little bit of everything with that experiment. As far as photography goes, I tell people I don't shoot. The truth is, my best friend is a photographer and she's very talented. And so I will shoot for her with her, but that's just because she's my best friend. So, and we travel and we have fun and we do the destination events and like it's fantastic. It's fun. So I'd be lying if I say I don't shoot, but I don't try to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something as an educator for me. 2018 started our podcast, and like the last few years, last year I did 7 weddings, the year before I did 2, and I just felt like out of touch. This year I have
Mhm.
23. So I'm filled my calendar back up. I added photo last year, and that's kind of got me creatively excited. But like shifting gears just a little bit, you now have the Bridal Theory, and you're doing the majority of your time you're helping other people. What is it? Tell me just a little bit about like what your mission, your goal. I mean, you want to help people be seen, but like what all does this entail? Because I mean, you're doing good things. I have watched from afar, and it's like, man, she is working her tail off over here. So like, what would you say is the Bridal Theory? What's the point of it, and what do you do like on your day to day?
So we have a few different offers. We have our Curated Marketing Society, which is a monthly membership where we teach different tools of marketing. Every single month, we have live group coaching, things like that. And that is targeted really at, I don't want to say entry level because marketing is for everyone, but people who are really getting the foundation set. Like whether they've ignored the foundation for 10 years and they've been in business a long time, or they just need a little bit of support, we have that kind of things. I love the one-to-one coaching. So basically, that is probably where my heart is in the true sense, because what I do depends very much on the business I'm working with. And I don't work with exclusively wedding vendors. I have had very interesting businesses that I've worked with. But basically, sometimes we have to go in and we look at the business and go, what's wrong with it? And we diagnose it really and truly. And a lot of times it is a marketing issue, but sometimes it's a structure issue, or sometimes it's a team issue, or sometimes it's a mindset issue and you're the problem, right? But so we basically start with, what are you trying to achieve? And what do you think is keeping you from getting there, right?
Mhm.
We start there and then we work backwards and we say, okay, this is what you're trying to achieve. From an outside perspective, we see all these things. So I love it because it's basically not tearing down and rebuilding a business. Sometimes it is, honestly, but sometimes it's looking at it from a different angle with different eyes and saying, okay, how can we make this work better for you on your terms for your goals, which that I love.
Do you know that sinking feeling when your inbox is full and your to-do list looks more like a novel? That's where my friends at Limly come in. This CRM, designed by videographers for videographers, lets you send and receive contracts, deliver films, manage projects, invoices, and questionnaires all in one slick, intuitive platform. It even automates your project workflow from import to export so you stay on top of deadlines without lifting a finger. Stop wasting your time on tasks you can automate and focus on making more money. And as a bonus, I've got a 25% off code in the show notes below. Head there now and streamline your whole business. Limly, get back to creating, not admin. Yeah. And that's something that's very interesting, the parallel paths that we're on. I'm a few years behind that, but like we leaned straight into wedding filmmaking for so long, and I've expanded, we're adding different things I'm offering, but the same kind of things were coming up the more people I would do coaching with. And the things that would come naturally to me, and people be like, oh my goodness, how'd you think of that? So I want to ask you, like with this, what are some of the main things that you feel like people are missing in their brands? You're doing a lot of coaching, a lot of things like just a surface level. Like, what are some of the things that you just immediately think of that's like most people are missing X, Y, and Z?
100% it's awareness. They have no true awareness of their business. Things like, how frequently am I marketing? What is my profit margin? What are my sales goals? Right? Like, what is my retention rate? Like, those sound, again, we're going back to that creative versus analytical, and like, those sound not fun, but they really are like the gears of a business that you can twist and turn and adjust and increase or decrease. But if you're not even aware that what they are at all, you're going to really struggle to grow your business in a direction you're intending it to. You might have like luck, you might book clients, you might get profit, but it could be so much more, or it could solve the problem you're having. So awareness 100%. And that just goes across the board. That could be with your pricing, your numbers, your marketing. A lot of people are like, I'm not getting inquiries, right? That's a huge conversation we have all the time. And it's like, oh, it's a bad season. Everything's dry. No one's booking, right? Like, we hear that. And I don't believe that that's true 90% of the time. And I will hear somebody who's saying those things. I'm not getting inquiries. And I go immediately and say, okay, how are you trying to book clients? And they'll say like something like Instagram. Well, I'll go to their Instagram. They haven't posted but once in the last month. Right? And I'm just
Mhm.
like, here's not the full problem maybe, but here is a huge problem. Like, you're shutting off the flow of potential clients to you, and you're saying people just aren't booking, and you don't have awareness, again, that you're not showing up.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And I love helping people see just, if you hired yourself to run the marketing for your business, would you fire yourself? And it's like most people would fire themselves because it's hard. Where like, what do you focus on to get those leads? There's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's Snapchat, there's YouTube Shorts, there's all the Pinterest and SEO and blogs and like all these different things. And so you help people, create like an approach to their marketing. I want to think about like as this episode's kind of airing, we're getting into the end of the year and we're thinking about next year's season. We're
Hope
thinking
so.
about hopefully you've already been thinking about it for a little while. But a lot of people get crazy busy in the summer in the States, and then it's like, oh, I can breathe. Now I have to think about my business and do everything. Let's talk about like this year's engagement season, being prepared. What kind of advice would you give the audience that, if they're really wanting to be more intentional for next year, they're really wanting to know these things, like give me a little bit of a playbook that you would give some of your students even on being prepared for engagement season.
So, first step is I would just kind of audit what you're doing, right? Like, have someone else even audit. It can be a friend, it can be a peer, it can be a family member, it can be somebody not associated with the wedding industry at all. Sometimes that's really fun to just get an outside eye and just go through and say, okay, who am I trying to attract? I think we always need to be clear on that. Where am I trying to attract them? Okay, let's look at those places and see, do they look like what I'm trying to put out? Like, do they look like somebody would want to work with me? Am I clear in these spaces? Do they make sense? Am I showing up regularly? And then from that, I say, okay, where are you sending them? Which usually is going to be your website. I hope it's your website. I'm a big believer in a good website. And so you're attracting them to a point, check that, and you're sending them to a point. Check that. Like, go to your website, look at it as fresh as you can, and say, if a new person who is potentially interested in booking me during engagement season landed on this website, would they see what they need to see? Would they understand what they need to understand? Would they connect the way they need to connect? And just kind of go through the funnel, if you will, the path to booking you, and check it, right? And sometimes, again, we're too close to things. We look at it and say, oh, it's good, it's fine, it's working, or it's whatever. Don't lean into that fully. Like, get somebody else with eyes on it to look at it and say, yeah, you look great, right? They can confirm, oh, yeah, they look great, but this spot confused me. Those moments when somebody says, this spot confused me, are the moment, because you won't see those spots because you know what's supposed to happen. And you won't see that, but that could be where you're leaking clients. So have other people have eyes on it for sure. That's one of the main things. The other thing is start going ahead and thinking future-wise, content-wise. This is a huge conversation I have to have with people in the wedding industry all the time. Is your content the type of content somebody who is newly engaged, right? We're targeting newly engaged during engagement season. Is your content going to bring in the newly engaged, or are you just showing portfolio work all the time? Right? Portfolio work is great. It should be there. I'm definitely not saying don't put it there, but what else is there that's going to cause you to reach a new audience or excite someone or contribute or get them to keep following you or to say you're the expert? So start thinking content-wise towards the newly engaged.
Yeah, I really agree with that. This time last year, I really started diving into, like, I'm going to post on my stories every day for a year. I'm going to be there. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to post 2 to 3 times a week. I'm going to think forward about my social media, and I'm going to filter everything through the ideal John Bunn films, couple, my avatars that I kind of have built up. I'm aiming for brides. I'm aiming for brides' mothers. Those are like my main, clientele that I'm talking to. And I started saying, hey, this reel, 3 things to think about before you book your venue, or 3 things to whatever, it's like, or the thing most couples forget on their wedding day, or just like giving helpful information and then mixing it in with like, also here's an incredible, portfolio image and what I saw happen was, like you said, awareness went through the roof. I've been averaging anywhere from 2 to 4 million views on my page all year long. And I've gone from I think 10,000 followers to 14,000 or something. And it's, not to go viral for viral's sake. I've had several videos that have gotten several million views, but what has come from it is the right people following me. And like, a follow doesn't mean what it used to mean in 2018 to 2020. The right follow though means and is huge. And so I want to get your feedback. So part of what I was talking with Laura and Ashley a couple weeks ago about the celebrity status, or like that kind of vibe, like making yourself, like, I think a lot of people have a hard time promoting themselves in a way that feels genuine, that doesn't feel like they're being, pretentious. Or so how do you help your clients, help your students see themselves as the brand, and what advice would you give them? I'm afraid to put my face out there. I'm afraid to do this. What would you say to them?
So I have a weird approach to all this because a lot of business coaches will be like, well, you need mindset work and you need to just realize that you're amazing and you need to step up and own your greatness and show up anyways. And that's all true to a degree. But what I like to look at is go, okay, how does your brain work right now, right? You're uncomfortable being in front of someone, for example. You don't want to be the bragging expert. You're not, where's your brain right now? And how do we work with how you are right now to be successful in the path that we need you to go, right? And that creates a lot less friction, a lot less resistance, and people will step into it. What I'm not telling them happens is that when they start with the baby steps, they grow into that, right? They will improve and they will start showing up and they'll find out it's not as awkward and uncomfortable and they'll practice and it leads down the path they need to go. But when you start, just start where you are with who you are, right? So if you feel awkward in front of the camera, okay, how can you do it without being in front of the camera to start with? Just so you get going, right? And maybe it's not that you show up with headshots and talk about how you're the greatest and you're the expert and they should hire you because you're the best in the industry. If that doesn't feel genuine to you, don't do it because it's not going to feel genuine to the person receiving it. So instead, come in and say, okay, I do know my shit. Pardon me. I do know my stuff, right?
You can
I
curse
know I
on this
can help.
podcast.
Okay. I'm like, is there an E on this podcast? I don't know. Like, do I know my stuff? Can I help? Can I really be the best choice for a person? And if the answer is yes, then you're the best choice for the person, right? And you can come at it as a place of service, not as ego. I know I can give them the wedding that they're dreaming of. So why wouldn't I try to offer that to them? Knowing that if I don't do it, they might hire somebody that isn't a good fit and that sacrifices their wedding day. This is coming from a place of service. And if it's showing up as an expert in your industry, it's not about you, it's about them. Come from a place of service and say, I know this thing and they need to know it too. I'm just the delivery mechanism because of my years of experience. So I'm going to tell them that they should not fly out for their wedding at 6 a.m. the day after their or their honeymoon the day after their reception because they're going to feel like garbage, right? Like I know that. I know that they're going to need padding in this timeline for this moment because the light is worth it, right? I know that. I need to tell them these things because it matters. It's not about me, it's about them. And when we take ourselves out of that equation a little bit, it becomes a lot more comfortable to show up, a lot more comfortable to be the one that knows the things, to be the expert, to be the best option, to show up as the celebrity, if you will. It's not about you, it's about them. And you're just the mechanism to give them the information.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because, like, I'm not one that likes to puff myself up. I mean, I know that people really want to see who I am and know what I look like at a wedding and know, like, by the time people reach out to me now, since I've gotten comfortable, they're like, oh, how's your, family, or how's your daughter, or how's your, like, they just know things, or they're like, I saw that you were in this place. That wedding was gorgeous. And there isn't like this, we worship John Bunn thing, but it's like, whoa, I saw you were featured in Vogue and I saw you did this and I saw, like, it's so crazy that you're at my wedding. This is John. I've been telling everybody about, and you walk in the suite of the resort for the day and everybody's like, John's here. And it's like, there's this thing that you can create that does feel genuine whenever you're being genuine. And one thing that I did was I started really creating content for one. I thought, this bride is who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to the whole internet. I'm talking to Lauren. That's the bride. That's the one. I know who she is. I know what she's dressed. And I don't need 6 million views on this. I just need 1,000 views and 1,000 Laurens to see it. And I won't need to book anything else for the rest of the year. And so, like, hearing you talk about, like, just starting with what you can, what advice do you give people to get going? Do you recommend a little content calendar? How do you get someone to say, I'm taking action? These are the baby steps. If somebody's like, I want to get out there, what would they do?
So you said one of them. I am a huge believer in having your ideal client avatar, knowing who it is you're trying to reach. And it's been a conversation over the years. Some photographers have been like, oh, you don't need that. Like, what's the point? I'm not going to say no to somebody that's contracting me if they're willing to pay and they like my work. That's not the point. An ideal client is a tool for marketing, not for booking, right? You can take whoever you want. But when we show up and we talk on stories like you've mentioned, or we post a reel, or we create education, or we do those 3 tips, at all points, we should be thinking about who are we trying to reach? And it is that one person. It's absolutely always that one person. And that makes it so much easier to create content. Talk about things that are personal to you. It's like, what would connect with my ideal client? Yours is Lauren, mine's Carolyn. Like, I know who they are. I know, like, what they are interested in. I know the things they enjoy. They're addicted to coffee like me. They love a good cocktail in the right moment. They're all about experience and travel. Like, I know these things, so I can talk to those elements, and I bring in people that are aligned with that. So knowing your ideal client is the starting point to me, because I can give you all the tools for Instagram. I can give you all the tools for SEO. But if you don't have clarity in that area, you're still shooting at the whole world, hoping you catch something, right? And you're not aligned with those people you'd most like to do business with. So starting there for sure is where I always recommend.
Cool. As far as Instagram in general, I've been kind of toying with this idea, or wanted to ask you this question specifically. Can you even run a business in 25 or 2026 without Instagram? I mean, I know there's TikTok, I know there's other things, but, like, what are you telling your coaching clients, your students, about, like, Instagram in 2026? Like, is this possible to run? Should we lean all the way into it? How are people diversifying? What's your take on this?
Okay, so again, my nerdy analytical side is going to come out and combine with the creative. The way that businesses work is that you have people that discover your offer, right? And they move through the process of working with you. They find out if they are aligned or are not aligned, right? And then if they are aligned, they buy your product or service. That's business. You have to get them into the funnel, basically. It doesn't truthfully matter where that traffic is coming from. There are lots of places that traffic can come from, where those potential leads come from. So yes, is it possible to build a business in 2026 without Instagram entirely? 100%. Absolutely. Is it my recommendation? Not necessarily, right? But could somebody run a business without Instagram entirely? Absolutely. Absolutely. What would that look like? Okay, well, it looks like having a really, really strong website so that when they land there, that's the conversion point. But now, how do we get people to that website, right? So it may be having a really, really strong network and referral program. That's one way to get people in. Leaning hard into networking, relationships, planners, creating this buzz around your business that everybody needs to work with you. That's relationship marketing, right? It could be ads to your website. I love a good Google ad. Yes, I said Google, not Facebook, not Meta. Like, I love a good Google ad. It is possible to have somebody who sits down at a computer, and now we can have the conversation about ChatGPT, and says, hey, I need this type of vendor in this type of area, and you turn up as the search result. They go through your website. Again, got to have the good website. And they say, wow, their work is fantastic. Their budget is aligned with our budget. Like, their personal brand excites me. John Bunn looks really cool, like all these things. And then they set the inquiry form, right? So like there are ways to do this where you circumvent social media entirely if you truthfully wanted to. Do I recommend that? No, because I do think that Instagram still is alive and well in the wedding industry, for sure. And even if it's not the point where people discover you, it's the point where people research you. Even if they found you on a referral site, if they found you through a friend and they found you on Google, wherever they're finding you, they're going to your Instagram to see what you have there. So even if it is just something that is more of a portfolio space, you've got to be on Instagram with some description. Because if somebody goes from these other places and they research you on Instagram and you're not there, there's some disconnect. So you could potentially lose clients that way. Plus, any way that you can channel potential clients and customers into your business is a win. Instagram's alive and well. And I'm happy to say that. I'm super happy to say that because I don't want it going anywhere. I enjoy Instagram. You know, there was some conversation, was TikTok going to replace Instagram years ago? I don't see it happening. Like, is there growth there and opportunity there? Absolutely, especially when younger generations come in. But Instagram's alive.
Before we move forward in this episode, I want to tell you about brideandgroom.video. Brideandgroom.video is an editing house for wedding filmmakers to edit your films for you. You upload your footage, they edit it. I've been working with brideandgroom.video now for about a year, and I'm loving every single edit that they're putting out for me. They do my highlight films, my feature films. My favorite thing is just how amazing they are at communicating. They keep me up to date. They make it easy. Their system makes it easy for me to download my final films and save me that precious time that I need. So head over to the show notes and check out brideandgroom.video today. Now, back into the show. Yeah, I think for our clientele, especially 2026 still, for me, like my brand, an elevated, lovely, entry-level luxury kind of couple, what they're doing is maybe they are using ChatGPT, maybe they are using, finding me through a referral. A lot of my business comes from planners and things like that, but I need to be ready to go with my website. I need to be ready to go with my Instagram, because whenever like I'm looking at a new bride reaches out, what am I doing? I'm going to her Instagram. I'm looking to see, is this I even asked them for their handle on the inquiry form, and I know that people are coming to my page and they're making a snap decision in like 1/3 of a second. They can see, there's a blue check next to my name. They can see that I've got a decent sized following. They can see my pinned posts, the one that just says, "Hi, I'm John." First and foremost, it's like they know who I am. They see my features, they see my portfolio, and then they can scroll the feed and see my color palette and the vibe, and like I'm showing aerial shots of these beautiful Sperry tents and then Sedona and then Guatemala, and then like they're like, oh, he travels, he does, like he cares about fashion, Vogue's important, like all these different things they can get from your Instagram. And if somebody never comes to my Instagram page, like I did a wedding 2 weekends ago, she doesn't have Instagram, but they booked a $20,000+ package with me because she went to my website and she was a referral from her planner that I'm friends with, that I went and met at a networking event. And so like there's a lot of stuff all the time. And what I tell people is like, don't spread yourself too thin. Like I decided I'm going to take a break on TikTok and Pinterest. And I'm just going to try a year of just leaning into Instagram, see what works. And I'm also going to do network relationship marketing at least once a month. And I'm also going to make sure that my copy and my website and my imagery is so stingy with the kinds of things that I'm putting up there that it's like, I'm sorry, I did that photo session. There are 0 images from it that really speak to my ideal buyer. I might post it in my stories or something, but like, I don't have to show that. I can lean into those kinds of things. And so to me, the answer, it's like, I think we're very much in agreement that Instagram is definitely not dead. And you can get by without an Instagram. I know a lot of people that do, but they're amazing at networking, or they're really great at like they have 2 or 3 planner relationships and they book out their whole schedule. And so I want to know from you, just kind of like, if listeners are out there and they're like, okay, I like this, Amanda, I like this Bridal Theory, like, where's the next place, the next step that you would have them go to kind of maybe get more in touch with you, get to know you a little bit better? I know you said you have some monthly offerings, different things like that, but like, what's a good next step for the listener?
So definitely go to my Instagram, obviously at the Bridal Theory. I love a good DM. Honestly, like if people want to DM me, say, hey, I found you over on Shifting Focus. Like I would love that. I love having conversations in the DMs, but obviously my website as well, www.amandawritesman.com. And you can see all the ways to work with me there. We do have, like I said, the Society, which is our monthly membership where we do ongoing coaching and support and teach all these different pieces of this puzzle. But then we can go deeper with one-to-one coaching. And I do have some group programs. I'm always doing something. That's the thing, is like I am always doing something. So just keep your eyes open, because there's always something popping up that's going to be interesting. And I see a need, I fill a need. That's kind of the way I go. So I move quick, and I'm always creating new opportunities to get people together and to up their business, and not just up their business because that's kind of a random term, but like build the business they want to run. That's truthfully where my heart is. Not just
Yeah.
business other people think is successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important. I think a lot of people are climbing up other people's ladders,
Yes.
and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna get up to where they're at. That's what success means. And they get to the top of the ladder and they're like, wait, this is leaning up against the wrong wall. I don't want to be here at all. I want to, like, I should have been doing this. And so that's something that I want people to do when they're listening to this podcast, is like shift their focus to like what you're intended to do. If you're the listener, like, what is it that you want? Do you want 100 weddings a year? Great. I don't, but maybe you do. Do you want 10? Cool. Do you want elopements? Do you want luxury? Do you want destination? Who cares? You need to care. And so before we wrap up today, I know we were talking about Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to make sure you were able to talk about all the things you had, but are any final thoughts on just any of these topics, Instagram, getting ready for the engagement season, anything before we wrap up our time today?
Just, again, awareness. Be aware of your business. And if you don't know what to look for, reach out to someone who does, such as John or me, right? Like, know your numbers, know what's going on in your business. How many clients do you want? What are your outlets that you're marketing? Are they working? If there was one bit of awareness, that's what I would want. Are they working? We've talked a lot about Instagram. What I see a lot on Instagram is people doing the same thing over and over again, but they're not seeing results, but they keep doing the same thing over and over again. Just post the pretty pictures, the clients will come. Just post the pretty pictures, the clients will come. But they're not coming, but they keep posting the pretty pictures, hoping the clients will come, and nothing changes because they haven't changed anything, right? So just be aware of what's working and what's not working in your world, so that a time now when you're listening to this and I'm kind of shaking you by your shoulders and saying, be aware of your business, you can take that awareness into the next engagement season, right? Take the time now to look into everything and see if it's working. Look for the gaps. Look for where you don't know the answer. It's okay if you don't know the answer. There's people out there that can help you, right? But you first have to know what's not working and know you don't have the answers to be able to fix it. But I'd love for you to be able to fix it before you roll into engagement season, so that you are prepared to serve the next group of clients that are coming in.
That's so huge. Yeah, a lot of people are aiming at everything, and then they book out a full year of, there may be 20% of the clients. It's like, oh, I like them. And then they get backlogged or they get burned out. And I want to help people to make sure that they're focused, they're intentional on the things that matter. And I think that's huge. And it's so great that you took the time today, Amanda, to be on and like help our audience to kind of see that thing. I'm going to put the links to the Bridal Theory and to your website and all that in the show notes. So thank you so much, Amanda, for being on. I really appreciate you taking the time today. We did it. We podcasted.
Yay!
I'm feeling so enthused after this episode, Amanda. Thank you again for being on. And I just want to say to the listeners out there, I've been really digging putting these kinds of episodes out and reaching out to some of these people that I feel like are crushing it in their business. And I would say if you're needing help, be sure to reach out to Amanda. Send her a DM at the Bridal Theory. Go check out her page, give her a follow, tell her you saw her on the podcast today. I couldn't do what I do without you listening and supporting what I do. It just means the world to me. Be sure to check out that and my sponsor page and my website. Support those that support me while I do this. That is all the time I have for today. Thanks again, Amanda, for being on the podcast, and we'll see you next time. You know how much I love shooting weddings, but you know what I don't love? Wasting hours culling and editing. That is why I use Imagine.ai. It's literally learned my style. It culls my photos, edits them, and even opens them in Lightroom with the sliders exactly where I'd want them. And now they're in beta for video color grading, which is an absolute game changer. Stop wasting time and get back to doing what you love. Check the show notes to grab 1,500 free edits today.